How are we all doing, guys? I hope you're well. As you can probably tell by the title of this video, I've gone out into the depths of the Sorare NBA community to find some of the top knowledge around, to get some insight into their heads of where they think the best value picks are and best players are in general, actually, just for the upcoming NBA season. Who should you have in your club ready to go for when that tip-off starts? I'm going to leave all of the links for everyone involved in this video in the description down below. You'll probably know where they are and who they are already, but just in case you don't, they're all going to be down there below. And if you're not subscribed to me here on the Swingman podcast, ready for that new NBA season, what are you doing? Hit the sub button and leave a like on the video. In any case, let's jump into it and let's take a look at some of the guys that people are suggesting for the upcoming season. Now we're going to start in no particular order. I'm just going to go off of the responses that I've got that come back to me, and I'm going to pick them as I choose. Now we're going to go straight over to, I would say, a friend of mine within the Sorare NBA community. We're going to take a trip over to Team Hold. We're going to see what Mike Zakarian has said and his rationale for it. Now, he did send me a video format from when I think he was walking back somewhere, but he only had one player that he wanted to go off of. And this was Austin Reeves. Now, he was going off on the basis of that he's the best shooter within the NBA, and I think there was a tad of sarcasm there that I can't quite deliver. But in any case, I still don't think it's a bad pickup. Mike's suggestion of Austin Reeves, however satire it may have been at the point, when you look across the board for here, this isn't a video that's going to be just on MVPs only, because anyone can say go and pick up a Luka or a Giannis. Austin Reeves, sitting at 25 years old, so he's not under 23 eligible, going to be getting strong minutes within that Lakers unit next year, an improved Lakers unit. They're going to have a little message to send, especially from AD. And, you know, we're seeing the potential last year of LeBron. I reckon maybe two more. The fact of the matter is, when it comes to Austin Reeves right now, he's around 15 quid as a limited, 80 quid at the minute on the rail, which is on the pushy side of the floor. I wouldn't pay that much. But, you know, there are some strong options here in terms of green scores. For an L10 of 30, you're going to need guys like that, especially in the champion modes when you don't have those low L10 guys. So, you know, it's one to look at for a nice Lakers pickup. Anytime there's a Laker guy as well, it'll always add a little bit extra to the price. But I'd keep an eye out on him, especially at the start for when the new series cards get minted, because some ARs could be going around. So next up, I went and asked Andrew Laird. Everyone knows Laird, Lairdinho. If you're in the Sorare community for it, you're going to know who he is. Like I said before, though, in everything, and for Mike's stuff and everyone that I talk about, it's all going to be down below if you don't. But in any case. So Laird sent me over 2. I had no limit on how many I wanted to hear from. 2 or 3, 1, just wherever they were feeling. And he sent me back 2. We're going to start with Mikal Bridges. Now, Bridges is a guy that I've owned last year. I was very sort of big on Mikal Bridges, even when he got his move. And I think when you're looking at him on the Nets right now, the price is he stayed consistent between when he was at the Suns and at the Nets. And let me run you through what Laird sent me over. So he said, Bridges became a completely different player after moving from Phoenix to Brooklyn, and he showed almost immediately that he can be the top option on a good team. Now, with a full preseason with the Nets, Bridges should continue to flourish while being priced on Sorare way less than players with similar fantasy point profiles. Now, you can't argue with some of the stuff that he said there. You simply can't. He showed, especially like when he first joined and he's getting these dark greens within the Nets, that he can be the top option on a fantasy scoring point-wise. And I think when you're going to have in a few more, I mean, we're going to go down the Ben Simmons route on the Nets, so we'll be talking differently here, but I would expect bigger things after he's had that year within and that sort of half a year within the Nets and he has the full season with him. He's going to be comfortable for it, and he showed what a sort of talent he can be as that two-way kind of guy. So as a fantasy point scoring option, Mikal Bridges is the top one. And like I said, price-wise, he stayed pretty consistent. He'll fluctuate in and around this £100 mark, and he's gone to 120 and he dipped below into the 80s. But he'll be in and around there depending on what his L10 does. But Mikal Bridges is definitely one that you should consider for picking up before the start of the season. The other option that Laird wanted to speak about is Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks. Laird said Brunson may be the most underrated player within the NBA, as he's a bona fide superstar, but also has room to grow. He showed he can be a top option during last year's playoff run, and the Knicks could add some big pieces to help Brunson really reach that next level. Even a huge trade like Joel Embiid would help, as it would take less pressure off from the former Villanova star from a scoring perspective, allowing him to do other things that contribute to the fantasy scores. Now, hearing him suggest a Joel Embiid to the Knicks trade did hurt me slightly there, but I can't argue with it. If Embiid went to the Knicks, I can't sit there and say it would be a bad thing. I don't think most teams would sit and say that. But for the Knicks, if you've got Brunson playing with Embiid, it'd be a little bit... Yeah, I mean, I can't hate on it. We saw what Brunson can do when he was with Luka Doncic, and when you're playing alongside that top other talent, Brunson is sort of that. He goes under the radar as a second option that can easily play as that top unit as well. So, but I mean, the scores speak for itself as well. Tons of dark greens here. He's got a high L10 that goes along with it at 46. He's in that range of where would you have him as an MVP or would you have him as the second option? Personally, most weeks I think Brunson would be someone that I would be looking to obtain that second spot. I wouldn't suggest Brunson be an MVP, but at points when he's hitting red hot form and he's comfortable and hitting the 60s and the 69 scores, who am I to suggest that he isn't? It will all depend upon matchups in that week. But again, Jalen Brunson at 20 quid on the limited mark is a really, really solid pickup as well. Some of the Knicks guys I think are really undervalued going into the season. I don't really know why. Like Julius Randle, I think he's really undervalued. RJ Barrett was a bit fluctuation towards points within the NBA season, but again, I think he's a solid pickup. And the Knicks have got also backup guys that normally tend to come in and will have a very low L10 that can then spike. So the Knicks are one to study, but again, Laird coming out of Brunson, solid pick that should be mentioned. Anderberg over at Nifty Sports. Again, link will be in the description down below. He gave me two guys that he wanted to mention. LaMelo Ball being one of them. And again, LaMelo, when he comes back next year, you know, the Charlotte Hornets are going to have been sort of dragged through the mud a bit. And I feel like LaMelo Ball hasn't. Everyone knows the talent that LaMelo Ball is and the scores that he puts up also back this year. But it's just about staying healthy and consistent for LaMelo and the Charlotte Hornets. They're going to go through changes as well throughout the next couple of years in terms of shaping up their roster with a few guys moving in and out. But LaMelo Ball will be a consistent point ball handler for them. He's always going to be the main guy in that team for as long as I can see, unless any major trade happens. But again, the scores are astronomical purely because he's sort of that Luka Doncic-esque build within Sorare of that. He's a guy very capable of going off on that triple-double. Might have the odd steal and defensive action here on there, but very, very capable of hitting a triple-double, which on Sorare scoring and on the NBA Matrix is humongous is what it is. As you can see from the 70s and the dark greens that are across it, the thing that comes with LaMelo Ball, and he's under 23 eligible, which is a nice thing of it, but because of the name, he is quite expensive. £63 he's coming in at the moment on his limited, and they are selling around that as well right now. And on the rare side, you're looking at, 290 quid. And again, the rare side, they've been going for 300 and they were a bit less within the off season, but that's the standard case for it. What I would say in terms of a buy, I'd say just hold for the time being in terms of this one. But the value point of him, when it comes down and everything comes around, when the new cards drop on the NBA side of things, it's going to be one to look out for. The other guy that Eric mentioned that he wanted me to speak about, Cade Cunningham. And again, I love the fact that he's gone for the two rookie guys. They're not rookie guys, but the younger players within the league. And he actually said, two young guys, same reason. Both looked great last year and sadly got injured. But when they are back, they can be electric on the court. Let's see LaMelo and Cade Cunningham bounce back this year. And again, this is what we want to see, though. We want to see these guys play, especially with Cade, because we know the talents that they can be. Cade is really expensive on the limited front, but that's, again, I've mentioned this on other videos before. This is because of his mint count. There isn't too many within the game, even though they do look like they've been picking up a bit more now. But, I mean, when you're looking at a 5,000 mint, we're barely touching 500 by the looks of it here. On the rare side at 250, again, it's a little bit pricey, but then you have him ready for the start of the season. So it depends on where you value the first few opening weeks. If you want to go and target these guys because you think their scores are going to be astronomical, by no means am I going to say it and sit there and tell you it's a bad play. But, it's just one of the things to look out for on the pricing marks. But Cade Cunningham and LaMelo Ball, I can't really argue with those two picks. Keeping the train moving here, we got SimplyAlex up next. Again, links will be in the description down below. So he gave me two guys as well. First guy English would help. The first guy he wanted me to mention was Alperen Sengun. Now, Sengun is known throughout the NBA community as that young, talented core. The Rockets are a bit different this year with Van Vliet kicking about. Dylan Brooks is there. So, they've got a bit more pieces that they would tend to have last year as just being that young team that aren't really going to unsettle any feathers. The Rockets this year should have different aims and a higher win target. I don't know whereabouts they'll sit, but the Rockets are going to be someone to not just brush aside this year. Sengun is going to fit in nicely in that sort of mold. I think he's going to have another strong year. Again, under 23, 21 years old. He mentioned that Alex said that it's probably the best reward he's ever won on the Sorare NBA platform. Being so young, it will be fun to watch him develop as a player. Looks to have found some decent form towards the end of the season as well. Highlighted by those scores here. Again, I don't particularly tend to look at end of season scoring, especially with teams that didn't really have anything to play for, as sort of 100% crystal. But again, it displays what Sengun can do. There's no bad merit in these scores being put up. And as you can see throughout the whole year, he did have a couple of dark greens and some strong greens in any case. And that's because of his playmaking distribution and what Sengun can offer. And I would expect to see this be built on next year with the nicer pieces and the better pieces that have been added into this Rockets side. Again, Sengun's going to be a guy when he's setting you around the limited mark, around the 18 quid sort of area right now. I don't think that's bad value at all, especially for some of the prices that he was going for towards the start of the game. Obviously, you've got to take note that the 5% bonuses are going to go when the new cards come out, but if you can pick one up with a decent percentage score, I think it's a solid pickup, especially for the long run, looking at under 23 eligibility, which I'm hoping Sorare NBA introduces. And then the other guy that, and on the rare side of which actually as well, again, 100 quid's not bad at all value. I think you can maybe offer him an around the lower point of view for this, but I don't think it's a bad value pickup at all for Sengun. The other guy that he wanted me to mention was Jaylen Brown of the Boston Celtics. I don't need to spend too much time speaking about Jaylen Brown. The highest paid player within the NBA, which you can either agree with or not. That's a different discussion for another point of view. But he said, if I can find the quote quickly, otherwise, Celtic number 7 is always going to be my preferred option in sport, thanks to football. He's a big Celtic fan in any case. But Jaylen Brown, I've got a rare Jaylen Brown. I picked him up at the start of the year. Whenever, and it seems very on and off with the Celtics, of that it'll either be Tatum's night or Brown's night. I think they've got to sort of harmonise that a bit better going forward, especially now that Kristaps Porzingis is joining the ranks. But again, Jaylen Brown will be a very consistent scorer, as you can see here, always putting up a lot of dark greens throughout the season. He'll have the off night, which you kind of like as well, because it'll bring that L10 down for you. But he's very capable as well of exploding, as you've seen by the 73 there. Does it look like it's a one-off performance season? Yes, but an L10 of 31 to start the season. I really like Jaylen Brown for that aspect. And I think that there's going to be a few guys that are going to have really low L10s based off their playoff performances. And Brown at an L10, you could be looking at sort of a 31 L10 scoring you 50 to 60 points in the opening week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So definitely one to keep an eye out on. On the limited front, I think his price reflects that. He's at around the 45 mark now, going for the mid-30s. But again, Jaylen Brown's, I was playing him an MVP at points. I don't think he is an MVP caliber player, but at 26 years old, because of the defensive capabilities that he's got in his game as well, top-notch draw card. And I think the rare price is really undervalued for him, if I'm being honest. I think, and I know this is from it that I have one, but I do think sitting at around the 200 quid mark for a guy that could possibly go into the NBA Finals, you're looking at someone here that is pretty undervalued, in my opinion. Next up, I went out and asked TST over there for his best prediction for the upcoming season. He gave me one. He kept it short and sweet. He didn't want to waste anybody's time with this one. Jaren Jackson Jr. Now, TST said, Jaren Jackson Jr., I already like him on Sorare because of his defensive upside. Last year, he had 14 games with over 5 blocks. With Jar missing at the start of the season, he should be relied on more offensively. Combine that with his experience on the USA national team, and it should equal a strong start of the season for JJJ. Now, yes, he's got the experience, and he didn't have a particularly great summer. He didn't have a bad one, but it wasn't great. But I absolutely concur with TST on these thoughts regarding some of the defensive actions that JJJ is capable of. And I've spoken about this on videos in different times. As you can see as well, I have a rare version of Triple J, and it is because of the block party that he's capable of doing. There are multiple times where he will have 5 blocks a game, or 4 or 3. And because of how Sorare scored, it boosts his points massively. His L10 being at 40 isn't ideal, I'll grant you this. But in any case, throughout the rest of the season, Triple J is going to be a guy that will be heavily relied upon by the Grizzlies as a defensive action player. It might change when Steven Adams is back, but in any case, that Triple J is a solid pickup. alongside the fact that his price does reflect this, I think on the rare side, he's very undervalued. Again, I'm going to put this at the start of the video probably, but none of this is financial advice. Obviously, I have to put this in there. But I think on the rare side, he's really undervalued if you can get him around that 100 mark, £120 mark. The limited's a little bit more pricey in terms of where you see the disparity between a limited and a rare being at 30 quid mark. But again, I don't think you can go wrong with a Triple J pickup. And again, when they get John Morant comes back, when they've got Marcus Smart, they've got Ty Jones, Steven Adams, they've got very nice pieces, so there's no reason why the Grizzlies can't be looking at going far in the playoffs as well. So I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is a solid pickup and definitely one that you could look to have in your gallery for the start of the season. So the penultimate expert then, and I'm going to go to Jeb Bush. Now you might know him as the Summer League Bear. I'll leave all of his links in the description down below, as I've said before. Now he actually gave me 3 different choices, and 2 of them are sort of bundled together. So I'm gonna show you them now, and I'll read through the sort of commentary that he gave me for this, so his ball knowledge is not broken up here. So he gave me 2 options to start off with, which was Tyrese Maxey and Jordan Poole. So I'll read you through it now. Okay, so for my first pick, Jordan Poole, Tyrese Maxey. As far as I'm concerned, I think these 2 guys are in basically identical situations. Both teams that are selling and will allow them to go from the bench player to a young starter with the greenest light in recent NBA history, and they should have incredible opportunities to rack up crazy points regardless of how things shake out. Jordan Poole, I can't speak highly enough of how important I think he's going to be towards the start of the season. This is the only one so far. Just absolutely take no notice of this, because his role on the Wizards is going to be completely different to what it is on the Warriors. Well, it should be. If he starts playing like he did in the playoffs for the Warriors towards the end, it might not last that long. But I think Jordan Poole is going to hold the ball. Jordan Poole is going to hold the ball so much. There's a tongue twister for you. The idea of that, I've seen a few people as well being like, well, it doesn't just make him automatically an unbelievable scorer on the NBA platform, and also turnovers and also all of this stuff. I see your point, but he's got an L10 and 19, and Jordan Poole on any night was capable of hitting the 50 marks. So I know that there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to have L10s and zeros at the start, and everyone's very doom and gloomy around it, which I don't think is that. I don't think it's a case necessarily, but I think towards the start of the season and even throughout, Jordan Poole is going to be a very strong asset to own. Now, from a point of view of recommending to buy, he is at his not all-time high, because he would have been at certain points within the Warriors last year, but he is expensive because of the move. He did go from being like a 10-12 quid card to like a 35 quid card, and the rare moved with it. I think if you got him, I wouldn't sell. It's a hold. I have 2. I won them. I won a rare and I won a limited, I think. So I wouldn't be looking to move them on, but it's a case of just keeping an eye out on how this goes, because I do think he's going to be a really strong asset. On the other side of which is Tyrese Maxey. Again, I have a limited version. I don't have a rare, unfortunately, of him. I spoke about him before being under 23 options in the video I made for that I'll also leave in the description, or it'll be up here or up here. It'll be somewhere. But Tyrese Maxey as well, as we know with the Sixers, Harden, it's unlikely James Harden is going to be there, as mentioned by Jeb Bush as well. But the scores that Maxey's capable of, again, you'll see that they fluctuate, obviously, between when he's having an off night and someone else is on fire and he's not really getting the ball, between when he's asked to do more, and he's more than capable of producing on a consistent basis. This isn't going to be a roll of the dice. People can see how talented Tyrese Maxey is, and the scores that he's going to be very capable of putting up for Philly. It's going to be a different dynamic as well with him being that main guy alongside Embiid, but I don't think there'll be too many growing pains with it. But, you know, we'll wait and see. But again, I think Maxey's a more comfortable buy, because I don't think his price will really fluctuate in the same that it would with Jordan Poole. That's how I personally see things. So if I was going to recommend to buy one, it'd probably be Maxey on the front of the, there is different values, but I would say of ceilings, Jordan Poole possibly has the higher one, just off the basis that his L10 is 19 and Maxey's is 37 is the only thing I'd say. Now, his second pick was DeAndre Ayton, who has been mocked within the NBA scene, particularly because of his last performances within the playoffs, but also just in recent years. I feel like Ayton went on like an arc of being like really undervalued and then overvalued and then got mocked because of it, which happens to quite a lot of NBA players in any case. But here is the commentary that Jeb sent me over. My second pick is a riskier pick, but I'm also super excited about the possible upside here, and that is DeAndre Ayton. Ayton's stock has probably never been lower, and for good reason. However, Monty Williams is gone, someone he clearly didn't get along with, and it looks like he finally has a chip on his shoulder. And with Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker all being all pulling in the defense, it should make Aiton's job almost laughably easier and lead to tons of offensive rebounds, putbacks, and open dunks. Additionally, the Suns' depth at the center position isn't incredible considering Eubanks is undersized, even though he's a solid backup. As long as Aiton stays out of foul trouble, he should be absolutely feasting this year. And I concur. And that's not because I just own an Aiton rare anyway. But I do think in the Suns team, it's a tough one to say for certain because I'm still unsure of how they're going to play. I do think Booker's going to be at the 1, but people are suggesting Beal's at the 1, and I can't really shout at that. I think that they've been smart with some of their minimum veteran signings that they've made. The center position for them as well, it's all going to depend on how Aiton reacts in terms of now. He possibly went from being the second option on that team to like the 4th or 5th, and it's going to be that mindset shift that he needs to buy into. Because you're not going to look at a team of Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal there, and Aiton surely in his mind isn't going to go, yeah, I'm the second unit still. The scoring side of which, it's not been great recently, but you've seen he's very capable of 50s and 60-point games. L10 and 27 is really nice. Price-wise, really nice on both the limited and on the rare sort of side. I think if you're looking towards buying some, if you're looking at making the move from playing limited this year to rare, I think DeAndre Ayton is a solid option as one to pick up from and not blowing the budget and blowing the bank from it. I think at the 50 quid mark, he used to be going for like 100 back in the day. Yeah, he had points of it. I mean, I'm still scrolling here, but yeah, like 8 months ago, start of the game, he was in that 100-point mark, and I know prices change and everything from it, but I think DeAndre Ayton would be a solid one. And again, the Suns should be looking to go quite deep into the playoffs. So again, not a bad one to pick up for on that longevity sense. And there, I mean, I own a DeAndre Ayton as well, so I'm not going to moan it at all of being a pick in this video. Now, last but by no means least, I reached out to the YNWA. I'm sure you'll know him. Again, links will be in the description down below. Big account within the platform here on Sorare. And, we're going to run through the 2 of them. Now, the first one you can see on screen, Chet Holmgren. Can't see his scores because he hasn't got any. He's going to be coming into the game at an L10, I think. Yeah, there is 3 limiteds and 3 rares here. So I can't go out and be like, yep, go and buy him. Do it now. Spend the money. The issue with him is going to come with when the new season cards come out. I don't know if they're going to be before the start of the season or after the season started. I've got no idea. No information is privy on that one. What I can say is, if you're one of the 3 that have got him, you're incredibly lucky because any of the new guys that came in, whether it be Wemby, Scoot, all of them that have those L10s of zeros, they're cheat codes for the first week because you're going to have a free spot. So whether you play them in contender or champion, or if there's new game modes that come, they're going to be absolute fire. His comments that came with Chet Holmgren were, after meeting him at the Summer League, a little bit of a flex there, which I quite like. After meeting him at the Summer League, I'm keen to follow his progress this season and see if he can live up to the hype before his injury. And again, Chet Holmgren, big talent that's going to come in. I'm bullish on the OKC Thunder this year in any case, with Giddy, with SGA, and a few other their pieces that are around it. I like Lou Dort as well. I think he's a really talented player on that defensive end. But I think with throwing Chet into that mix, OKC are going to be a little sleeper team. Maybe not even a sleeper team, I think, because there's just so many good talents on there now that people are going to talk about them. But if you've got one of them, you're very lucky. If you can get one of them before the start of the season, again, it then depends on how you value that first week and how much it would cost to own one of them with an L10 or 0 and such. But again, Chet as one to go in and for the next season, can't argue the pick, really like it. And he gave me one more pick as well with Jonathan Kuminga. He said, with Paul gone, I'm hoping he'll get more minutes and I'm keen to see if the rumors of him having a growth spurt from 6'7" to 7'2" are true. I'm not sure if they were true, but I do think he had a slight growth spurt. I think it was a sort of Twitter meme that was going about. But in any case, I really like the Kuminga pick. I've said this on another video, I think, before, and if I haven't, I'm absolutely going to ride the coattails on this one. L10 of 5 that's sitting in there. I don't think his minutes are going to balloon up massively just because Jordan Poole's gone, but he's coming in as a young talent that could definitely play in that Warriors system, and he's very capable, as you can see, of going for those sort of 20 to 30s and even at points a 40-point score. His L10 is fallen off a cliff because of what I've said before with the playoffs. He just doesn't get action in that Warriors lineup that year. He just wasn't seeing it. And at the start of the year and throughout the year, when injuries occur to Wiggins and there's a few other ones that come about, Kuminga's size is going to be very, very needed for the Warriors. So 70 quid is expensive, but I think this is baked into the fact that he does have an L10 of 5, and people are going to start to slowly pick them up, getting ready for the start of the season, which is 30 or so days away now. But at 11 quid on the limited side, and there's even some auctions still going on here from Sorare themselves, I don't think it's a bad play. I think he might fall to, like, when you look at him and his actual price, a couple of like 5 quid, 6 quid. But there are going to be ebbs and flows in this game. And if you want to understand it, if you're willing to spend 5 quid more than his average price to get him in at an L10 of 5, that enables you to have one of those potential cheat codey lineups. I don't think he'd score the same as a YNWA or anything like that. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's bad on the limited front. The rare front, I'd maybe avoid it, but on the limited front, I can't really say no to it. And there we have it. I hope you did enjoy it. Big thank you to everyone that sent me over some information, sent me over some comments ready for this video. Like I've said thousands of times already, it feels like, in this video, I will leave all of their links in the description down below, whether it's their YouTube, their Twitter, whatever they sent me that I asked for, I'll leave it all in the description down below. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you stay tuned and locked in, ready for the start of the NBA season and the Sorare videos that are going to be coming out with it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like the video, like the video. If you wanted to comment something, it'd really help me out. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.